And how fucking dare anyone out there make fun of Britney after all she's been through?
I'm your number one fan.
All you people care about is readers and making money off of her. She's a human!
I'm also a man of heart and blood and soul. Heart and blood and soul. Heart and blood and soul.
Performed for you bastards!
Heart and blood and soul. Heart and blood and soul. Heart and blood and soul.
God, I love you.
Hello and welcome to Devotee, the show where we talk to the creators we love about the stuff that they love. I'm Lucas Testro, and with me, as always, is a woman who's a fan of many things, including serving as the treasurer of the Victorian chapter of the Steve Urkel fan club from 1996 to 1997. It's Marion Blythe.
Wow.
Hi, Marion.
Wow. Hi, Lucas.
It's a real blast from the past.
Wow. I didn't want that out, but thanks.
Am I allowed to talk yet?
No.
Marion, who are we chatting with today?
Today we're joined by an actor, comedian, and generally laconic man about town. You may know him from his role helping Rob Sitch build the infrastructure of tomorrow in the ABC comedy Utopia, his Tonight Show recorded entirely in his back shed, or for being physically assaulted by countless football legends in ads for Toyota. But mostly you'll probably know him as, hey honey, it's that guy from that thing. I love that guy. It's Dave Lawson.
Hi, guys.
Hi, Dave.
Hello, Dave Lawson.
Marion and I had an argument for about 10 minutes this morning about whether laconic was an accurate adjective to
I didn't
describe
like
you.
it.
Where do you sit on this?
It seems fine.
I feel like you-
got no problems with it. I didn't sort of wince.
He has responded in a generally laconic way.
didn't
Whatever.
win.
I feel validated. I feel very validated. Dave, how do you describe yourself in your passport?
Oh, yeah. What when you're going through customs?
Yeah, when you're filling out those forms.
I used to have a lot of trouble with that, but now I do put actor because the problem was people would go, "Oh, actor, what have you done?" And before I'd go, "Not much, actually." So, but now I can go. I've done a few bits and pieces.
That's the thing. You're kind of a hard man to pin down about which bit it is. But yeah, actor is primarily how you see yourself.
Yeah, I think so. That's what I'm comfortable saying now.
There's
I
nothing
didn't
like
used to
it's
be
weird how
comfortable
it's filling out forms. If you do creative work, it's
Yeah.
this the thing that ends up giving you your kind of nervous breakdowns and anxiety attacks.
Because always a problem when you go actor when people do go, "Oh, would I have seen you anywhere?" And you go, "Oh, well, maybe," and then you'll say this, and they'll go, "No, I haven't seen that." And you go through the list, and then you feel like a real dickhead at the end of it.
Yeah.
And they haven't seen any of it.
And you're constantly going, "Oh, what have I done for the last year?" When you're going through.
But don't they pretend to make you feel better?
No.
Oh, yeah. No.
No one's really pretends to.
Wow.
Or they might try, "Oh, maybe," but usually I'll just say I do these football ads, and they'll go, "Oh, is that the one with Stephen Curry?" And I go, "Yes, I'm the guy who's not Stephen Curry."
You're the
Like,
other
okay,
guy.
the idiot. Yeah, the idiot in the yellow jumper. So I've been doing them for about 12 years now, I think.
Do people think you're someone else?
So,
Like, do you get mistaken for other people?
once
You
I
are-
got called Hamish and Andy. Oh my God, it's Hamish and Andy.
should be
I'm
your
I'm not,
Twitter handle.
I'm not Hamish and Andy. I'm not Hamish and Andy. Or often,
You're like The Fly, the movie The Fly with Jeff Goldblum.
both of them. No, I'm not. No, not often. I sort of plod along.
You do, as Marion said. I reckon you are that guy that people who know you, like they're racking their brains, going, "I've seen him in so many things." That guy.
Yeah,
Do you reckon that works for you or against you getting jobs?
I prefer not being known for any one thing, I suppose, because then you can just drift in and out.
You don't get people hassling you in Safeway.
No, I haven't ever. I used to do Nickelodeon. I did Nickelodeon for 5 years, which was a kids' channel on Foxtel, and then that was the only time that really, because kids go mad for that sort of stuff. So they used to sort of stop me a lot, and it was nice because they were always really friendly. They never sort of.
Yeah, kids are generally friendly.
Yeah, and then they try and kick. Then they try and kick you in the nuts. But also, kids are really honest as well too. They'll tell you if they don't like you straight away. Yeah, I like the other guy better.
What reasons
Yeah.
have they given you for not liking you, or just that they don't like you?
I like the other guy, which was James on the show. Or one kid wrote a letter and said, "I don't like Dave because he's got a gap in his teeth." And I was like, "I don't think I even. I don't
You don't have a gap in your teeth, or have you had dental work since?
No, I didn't. It, was like
It affected him so
then I
much.
got really paranoid. I'm going, "Do I have a gap in my teeth?" I don't know.
Wow.
And a little, like an 8-year-old got to me.
Little shit.
Yeah.
So was acting always what you wanted to do when you grew up as a kid?
No, I always enjoyed it at school. And then I went to study advertising at RMIT, which was a creative advertising course, just sort of writing ads. And there was a guy there, and his mum was an agent, and one of the other guys in the course had been in a few ads. And I remember he got to drink milk out of a bath with a girl in it. That was the ad he did, and I think he got like $1,000 for it or something like that. So I thought maybe I could do that.
And hepatitis.
It's really hard as you're telling that story, working out, was it the $1,000 or it was drinking milk out of the bath with the girl in it that attracted you?
Well, it was either. I'd take either of it. And then I called this mate's mum up, who was an agent. She put people in ads, and she said, "Yeah, sure, join." And then started doing a couple of bits and pieces. And I thought,
So what was your first paid gig?
It was for a drink called Gary Chocolate Milk. They brought out a milk called Gary. It was like flavoured milk.
Yes.
And I was there was three guys sitting next to a chocolate milk, sitting next to Gary, and I was just offering him chips, the chocolate milk, some hot chips.
Yeah.
And that was it.
Because they were trying to make chocolate milk manly. Gaza.
Yeah, I think so,
Gaza.
Gary. Yeah. I don't think it took off.
What's the like cheesiest thing you've ever had to do for an ad?
For an ad, I did Kmart. They were casting, the casting brief, I think, was happy-go-lucky Kmart tyre and auto guy, and I had to roll a tyre. down. That was pretty good.
You're talking about kids being brutal. Casting descriptions are pretty brutal as well. I guess
Happy-go-lucky. Or confident geek was the one I often...
Right.
We're looking for a confident, geeky guy. That was the one, which was fine as well.
You are a bit typecast as a kind of geeky, you know...
Or dickhead.
Yobbo? A bit yobbo?
Yobbo,
A bit
dickhead,
yobbo.
geek. Yeah.
I don't like it. Like, when are we going to see Dave Lawson as the romantic hero?
Well, hang on.
Yeah.
Utopia. We may as well jump to that. That's the thing people have seen you on TV for most recently, and just back on our screens last week. The first episode went to air Thursday nights, I think, on the ABC.
Wednesday? Thursday?
Wednesday?
Thursday. Yeah,
Or on your
Wednesday.
iView.
Wednesday, 9 o'clock, yeah.
Or for our listeners overseas, I found out last week it's called Dreamland.
No, Netflix has picked it up in the States and the UK. I think.
So you can find it as Dreamland.
Because I think there's about 3 or 4 Utopias.
Yeah, the BBC had Utopia.
And the BBC Utopia. Yeah, there's a lot of Utopias.
Yeah. So you play Scotty on Utopia. I guess do you want to quickly pitch for people who haven't seen it, what's Utopia about?
Utopia is set in an office, the Nation Building Authority, which is just a government agency, and they have to get projects built, infrastructure, tunnels, bridges, but nothing ever gets done.
No.
So it's an office where nothing gets done.
It's a lot more about press releases and
Press
opening
releases,
ceremonies and stuff like that. And so you play Scotty, who isn't so much of, I guess, the kind of geeky dickhead. You get to wear...
I wear a vest.
Or a waistcoat or something.
Quite sharp.
I guess my biggest question always when I'm watching Utopia is, what does Scotty actually do for a job?
I don't know. I think it was in the first series that we got to about episode 6 or 7, and then I was described as the assistant to the CEO.
Yep.
So that's when I worked out. That's my job.
So we do like to tunnel into the kind of process side of creation on this show. It was 6 episodes in before you asked for a backstory of any kind.
I was just keeping my mouth shut once I got the job.
It's like just checking the checks.
I looked around and thought, hang on a second, that is definitely, that's Rob Sitch, that's Sand. I'm doing this. I'll just keep my mouth shut because maybe they've made a mistake.
They're a very mysterious operation, the Working Dog production company, who churned out some of the best stuff that's come out of Australian film and television in the last 20 years. What is it like working with them? How do they work?
Oh, they're great. I think, well, they've got... they just communicate really well to each other. And the best thing about... We do an episode of Utopia in 3 days. So the first day we'll have a read-through and then they'll block it in the office. So we'll block it in the space. And then the next 2 days, they just spend shooting and the whole office is lit, ready to go. So
and are they actually shooting in their production office? They used to do that sort of stuff with their old...
No, they've both times they've hired out the floor of a office building.
Right.
And they've been both 2 different office buildings, I think, just because... they don't become available.
The best bit of season 2, episode 1 was actually while the credits are running, and it's you smashing.
The
roof.
scissors lift through the roof.
Do you do your own stunts?
Yeah, well, yeah. That was because I'd been watching them because they moved the roof panels. They'd been removing the roof panels to rig lights up, and I thought I could probably put this scissor lift quite safely through a roof panel, but I didn't realise I'd.
So that was your decision. We're getting into 2 things at once then, because I was going to say you do seem to really love working with the big props, because there's also the Toyota ad where you desecrate an Australian legend, Steve Waugh, in multiple ways, wiping
Yeah.
your underpants over his face, and but where they gave you a flamethrower.
Flamethrower, yeah, that was a good prop. Homemade flamethrower. I mean, professionally homemade. It was professionally homemade, but I think every time we blasted that thing, it went through a barbecue LPG bottle. Like it burnt it in about 15 seconds.
Wow.
So yeah, so this
fun.
scissor lift then
Yeah.
was your idea to go, because it's a great last shot where you get jammed against the roof and then you try to go down again, but instead you go further up and you actually go
Into
through
the roof. Yeah.
Because you go through the crossbeam.
Yeah, hit the crossbeam. That's why I thought.
I was watching that thinking, they must shoot that in their own offices because it's really gamer than they don't care that they just destroyed their...
Well, I think that the only reason I did that was because I knew that office was being demolished. I wouldn't have done it if it was someone else's office, but I knew that we were the last people to be
It's
in
okay.
that.
This
in that
smash
room.
it up.
Future employers
And I
are
also
highly unlikely.
I
to
also
give
thought if I ask if I can put it through the roof, they're going to say no. So I thought I'll just do it.
Did you pretend it was a mistake after the take?
Yeah, like you sort of went. I did ask one of the props guy who brought the lift in. I said, if that goes through, will that panel remove? And he sort of said, I'm not saying anything, because I don't. They would have said no straight away. If I said, can I put this through the roof? The answer would have been no.
I hope your agent has put that on your bio that you do your own stuff.
Yeah, actors love lying about I ride horses and stuff, and you can...
Because you've directed, you must have had a few. Well, in your Neighbours, you would have had a few people who've definitely ticked.
We didn't have much horse riding
Didn't you?
to do in Neighbours. Not by my era. My era, we didn't even leave the back lot to go shoot. It was all just done out there, unless you're going to Ramsey Street.
Yeah.
But so the working dog stuff, is there a lot of improvisation involved?
No, there's a lot of it's scripted, and I think often Rob, because Rob Sitch directs it, and if you get it in the first couple of goes and he's happy with what you got, he'd say, well, you can have a free hit, but normally we don't. It's not more than 3 takes, I think, for a scene. He just says, look, turn up, know your words, know exactly what you're doing, and because you've got a day of rehearsal,
yep.
You should turn up and know exactly what you're doing. Yeah, it feels terrible if you miss a bit.
And the Toyota ads, they're another one where it feels a bit like, is there any improvisation in there, or is that all scripted?
There's a lot in those, I think, but because it's a client and marketing people like to have scripts checked off about 4 or 5 times.
I've never been involved in making ads, but from people who do it, I've heard that you, the director will be there talking to the actors, and at the end of a take, rather than just saying cut and moving on, they have to go around a corner and talk to a Utopia crowd of 12 people.
Normally
is it okay? Is that okay?
Yeah, a tent full of people, and then they'll come back and say,
give you the tick or the cross.
Yeah, don't touch the car or touch the car.
Wow.
So do you like doing improv, or do you prefer?
Yeah, I enjoy it. Yeah, it's always great to have some sort of a script to work with, and then you can go off that.
You like that framework and then just riff off it.
Yeah, having the framework. I think once you know what you're doing, it's easier to sort of stray from that a little bit more, I think.
Yeah.
Because you used to do stand-up, yeah?
No, never done it.
What?
No. Is this Wikipedia?
Yeah.
You've been listening to.
I know.
Are you telling me?
I know that
Henry
half
Lawson
of your
isn't
Wikipedia is
great-grandfather?
bullshit,
Oh, sorry.
right? But I thought the stand-up bit might have been
No,
too.
I've never done it. No, never tried
Wow.
it. I don't know. It's because in Wikipedia, and I've not touched the page. It says I'm a regular on the stand-up circuit, I think.
It says all sorts of shit.
I've won the Comedy Custodians Award or something.
Is that an actual award?
No,
or
I don't know who's putting this on there. I'm happy with it though. But it also says I'm Henry Lawson's great grandson.
Yeah.
Which I think people find really disappointing when they find out I'm not.
And it says you're going to quit by 2011 to become a tram driver.
Yeah, no, that's
your life stream.
That's a lie. Well, I did think
It's just been pushed
I did
back.
have an idea that rather than changing the page, I could become the page. So whatever turned up on the page,
You just do.
I become the page.
That's a great documentary in that, or a comedy show. If you do want to do your first comedy show,
becoming your Wikipedia page.
it's an interactive life.
Yeah. So whatever turns up on it, I've got to do it.
I do like that someone felt the need to add that you appeared on the 2013 ABC comedy series It's a Date with Poe
Yeah,
from Post Kitchen.
that's true.
Yeah, but it's like someone's just
She's a
added it
celebrity.
on. Fact. Yes.
That's quite
But you've
interesting.
done
That
lots of other things besides that, but it's just
Well,
like
that's-
the last sentence. Fact. True fact.
He did get pissed on through a rooftop. What do you
yeah.
call it? A sunroof.
Sunroof. Yeah, pissed on through a sunroof.
That was a very educational experience for Marion because it was the first time she discovered what sharting was. From watching
Yeah,
your
I'd never
episode
heard.
today.
You didn't-
I was
you
like,
never heard
what
it?
did
I
he
don't know
just
how-
say? Yeah. No idea.
Just it's when you're little,
Yeah. I know,
You know what it is now. Yeah.
Lucas explained it.
What did you say? I was like, it's when you go to shit. It's when you go to fart and you end up shitting.
Just a little bit even.
And you were like,
I said that's something I didn't need to know ever.
It's when you go to fart, when you fart and you shit, yeah.
you think you're going to be safely, you can just sneak one out.
So what is it if you go to have a shit and you fart? That's
That's
nothing.
just
That's
have
a ghosty.
patience.
It's a ghosty.
You're there. Hopefully,
Yeah.
I'm assuming you're actually at the toilet at that.
Yeah.
And it's just be patient. It'll come along.
God, this went,
train's
this
on the
went
way.
downhill quickly, didn't it?
Just hearing
This
the
went
horn, the
downhill.
train is coming.
It did.
My favourite thing that you have done is your shed show, Dave's Shed Show.
Mm-hmm.
And did that start from, because you are regularly on Triple R Breakfasters, and you had Dave's Shed on Fridays on Triple R,
Yeah.
on the breakfast show. Was that before the shed show, or you?
Trying to work. I think because on Triple R,
We should clarify. This is, if you haven't seen it, it's on YouTube.
It's
Do go
amazing.
watch it. It's fantastic. It's literally a Tonight Show done in your garage.
Yeah, it was just for a hobby, really, for the fun of it.
So good. There
no,
needed to be more There still could be more
there could
episodes,
be.
Dave.
I've left it open. I just haven't been picked up.
It is
another-
the
for another
greatest.
series.
We did establish
understand.
during the show that there's not that many levels of upper management above you.
That's me, isn't it? It is just me. I think I used to talk about my shed a lot, so they were looking for a segment name for the Triple R segment. So they called that Dave's Shed, and then I'd always wanted to do a Tonight Show in my backyard, and I was chatting to Laura Waters, who she runs Princess Pictures, which is a production company
They
here
do
in
like
Melbourne.
Chris Lilly's stuff.
Summer Heights, all of
Heights
Chris
High and
Lilly's
Jonah and
things, and they're really, really great. And I was out there. She said, "What are you up to?" And I said, "I've been thinking about doing a chat show in my backyard." And she said, "Well, why don't you just do it?" And when someone like that says, "Do it," you go, "Fuck, now I've got to do it," because I put my money where my mouth is. And she said, "Look, if you want, I'll give you a producer," because I'm the sort of person who. I used to be called Gunner at school because I was going to do this and going to do that. So she said, "I'll give you a producer," and she said, "Here's Daniela, and go away and make it." And then we made 4 episodes. And Carlton Draft at one point called up and said, "What are you doing with this? Do you want to sponsor?" And then I think that started to become a bit more of a business rather than a hobby. So that's when I pulled the pin. That's when I axed it.
Did you
just when people wanted to give me money to make it?
Did you get the audience really pissed before
be
you
fair,
recorded?
little.
Because they would
Before-
heckle the hell out of you. They were really rowdy.
That was a surprise.
Yeah.
They would heckle. Yeah, no, that was a surprise.
Yeah.
They just started heckling, which was great though. I love that the audience became a character in the shed, but they weren't super pissed. They were,
Your Honour.
they weren't.
Yeah.
They weren't. They'd had a couple.
At the point we stole a car and set it on fire.
That would have been great.
Look, yeah, you did get axed, but you got like 4 or 5 episodes out, which is more than most Australian Tonight shows have managed to do.
Yeah, that's true. I don't know why I axed it. It was getting really hard because originally I thought I'll just shoot it on maybe a couple of phones, and then my mate, his name's Peter Lawler. He used to direct the panel. He directs. Have you been paying attention? Now he's a studio director. And he said, "No, I'll come and help you out with it." And he went, "No, we need sound. We need 3 cameras. We need this." Before I knew it, by the 4th episode, there was about 5 cameras. The shed was rigged up with all the sound gear. So getting everyone together on the same day to do things for free with guests just was almost becoming impossible.
But it wasn't slim pickings. Like you had the Twerps and Bruce and Duke Batavia, who Ben Birchall was on our last
guest,
episode.
yeah.
So there's a connection. But the sound, that Twerps track is amazing. They could have just released that as a live.
Yeah,
so very good recording.
It was good. Aaron Darcy, who's a friend of Pete, he said, "I'm bringing my mate who's got sound along," and I thought he'd maybe have a lapel mic, but he backed the truck up and he does the sound for Dancing with the Stars and all these big studio shows. So before I knew it, he had audience mics, he had the whole band mic'd up, he was doing sound checks. And then, so the band sounded really, really good. I think Twerps, and shortly after that, they went to number 1 on college radio in the States.
Yeah, they're huge now, yeah.
The Dave Lawson bump.
Well, yeah, sure. Give them a little,
Take it,
a little,
take it.
little
It
nudge
was
to the top.
Yeah.
And they were great. But yeah, I always think I'd like to do. It's still set up. The shed, the desk is still there.
Have you still got the wheel?
The wheel's there. Everything's there. It's just full of junk. I cleared out the junk.
The first directing job I ever had in television was as just a web director doing like the behind the scenes stuff for the website for the Channel 7 show All Saints. And the most exciting thing of me getting that job and going to work there at the old Channel 7 buildings in Sydney was, and it was sort of heartbreaking at the same time, was as you wandered through this sort of rabbit warren to get to the production offices, just shoved in a corner in this weird room was the Wheel of Fortune, cut in two, and just like folded up. It was like a ping pong table shoved to the side.
I am amazing.
by the wheel.
I would stop every day and just stare at the.
I'm amazing at Wheel of Fortune, like 2 letters, and I'm there.
You can get it.
Yeah. I'm really
is it still
good at
going?
Wheel of
Is it still a
Fortune.
show? Is it still a thing?
No, it's not. If only you could make a living off of like
Being on Wheel of Fortune.
Really good at
I think people do. The best thing about people, if they come to my shed and they see the shed set up, they go,
This already seems like a creepy line to get women back to your house.
Yeah.
friends.
Oh, I do a show.
Friends already on,
Come back to
internet
my
show.
shed.
You want to see it? They go, oh, right. They go, oh, it looks so
I've got a whole bunch of cameras set up. Don't mind the cameras. They're fine. Just get comfortable.
Make yourself comfortable. Little wine.
Sit on my couch.
They go, oh, it looks so much bigger on the internet, which is what everyone says about TV studios. So it felt like it started to feel like a show. And after the first couple of shows, I thought I could do this, but then just got over it, trying to organise it. Yeah, it got too real. Like Wayne's World, it was like when Frankie Sharp or who is it when the station brings them in and wants them to do sponsorships.
Yep.
It was, but it was a lot. It was a lot of fun.
But it's interesting when you talk about that thing of both being a gunner and then that thing of finding something for yourself to do, because the acting world from the outside does seem to be a tough industry. I remember the first time I had to go sign on for the Doll when I first got out of film school, and the bloke signing me on was like, "Don't worry, mate. I get you wouldn't believe the famous actors I get in here every week."
Right. Yeah.
And it's like when you look at your IMDb listing, you have like very regular, high-profile work that like most actors would dream about. But I guess it still only comes to 3 or 4 gigs a year. Like, well, at least as IMDb is concerned. Is it like hard to, as a working actor in Australia, to support yourself financially, and also to keep yourself kind of confident and buoyant creatively?
I think. Well, for me, acting's never been the be all and end all. So if it ended tomorrow, I don't think I'd be too concerned. I'd find something else to do.
Go back to the shed.
Yeah, go back to the shed, back to the internet. But I've been fortunate. Well, Nickelodeon was a great job because that was 5 years.
Yeah.
And I was probably from when I was about 22 to, was it 22 to about 27. And that was great to have, money going into your bank fortnightly. And that was a hard job to give up. But then at the same time also having a long-running campaign with Toyota or doing the football ads, it's just handy to have something that just keeps you sort of treading water till the next job, which I think I've been really lucky having those two.
Did you,
jobs.
one of those Toyota ads with Kevin Bartlett, you shaved your head off on camera. I hope you got paid more to do that one.
No, I just thought, it was at the point where I thought these ads feel like they might be coming to an end. So I thought, they said, do you want to wear it? You can wear it, we can fudge it and you can wear a cap. But I thought, no, I'll just do it. I had nothing else after that. So
I was just going to say, I love your entire thought was these ads are coming to an end, not that I need to continue stay employed and I'm going to shave my head.
No, I thought if I can keep these going for another year or two, because you keep having to get bigger each time you do those ads. It was like the shed show. I felt like I couldn't go back and start losing crew members because I couldn't organise it. I had to get bigger. So, I mean, if I was to do another shed show, I want it to be big. I want it to be big on like Pearl Jam to play.
Right.
Or something like that.
Pearl
maybe.
Jam, huh?
They might listen to
Maybe
this.
Pearl Jam.
we can reach out to them, Eddie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pearl Jam. Or just because my neighbour Rob, he's got a really great carport and I could put like the band will be in Rob's carport. We'll have them set up and then with drones these days, because drones will just start coming to start. So we'll fly a drone out of my shed and then it'll go up over the fence and then you'll see Pearl Jam.
That's amazing. Because that was always the most exciting part back in the day of like watching Hey, It's Saturday or something, is when suddenly the camera would leave the studio and they're out to the car park and you don't know what they're doing out there.
Anything could happen.
Yeah, well, that's what I thought we could, if I was going to do the shed show again. But yeah,
You might want to move the crowd around to where the band is playing.
well, there's a side gate. They can shuffle straight through. Me and Rob, we share a gate. So we
That's
can
great.
run straight through. And he's fine with it too. I've asked him. I said,
You're giving him a
You okay
slice
with
of the
Pearl Jam, Rob?
merchandising? Is that what's
Yeah.
going to happen?
No, he's just happy to be involved.
Oh, he doesn't
Rob.
know. That's good.
Yeah, so yeah, it is. But that shed show was costing me money to make each episode, just pizza and beer. But everyone else was doing it for favours. But still, it was when acting is tough, and you do. I think the best advice I had early on was someone just said, "Save your money, don't blow it. If you get a paycheck, save it." And I suppose that's been really handy, just to save it and drip feed yourself, almost give yourself some sort of a wage out of what you've already earned, and then you can work out how long you've got before you need to start worrying about another job.
Yeah. Now, it's interesting you bring up Pearl Jam there because
Yeah.
there could be a different choice should the Shed Show come back to open it, because we could be talking about the Shed Show all night, but we need to talk about...
That's why we're here.
Well, yeah, something else. Instead, we're here to chat about a creator or work that you're a big fan of. So who or what have you chosen for us?
Well, it was really hard to think. What do I know a lot about, or what really got me going at any point in my life? And the one thing that kept popping into my brain, I didn't want it to be this, but it kept popping into my brain, was a band called Metallica. Have you ever heard of it?
A band called Metallica. Why did you not want it to be Metallica?
Well, I suppose I'm not a big fan of them anymore, and this happened more so recently. My sister bought me. She knew I loved Metallica, and I used to have the posters up on my bedroom wall, and I think I had Metallica posters and maybe a wall of Kathy Ireland as well.
Hang on, is
Was
she like a soap actor?
No, she was like a Sports Illustrated, and she had
right.
big eyebrows. And so that was on one wall. Metallica was on the other wall.
That's your thing, is it?
code, right?
That's your thing is big eyebrows. So if you're a big eyebrowed
it was
woman...
her eyes. She had these eyes. You could just you could drown in her eyes.
How do you stand on Jennifer Connelly? Because that's another actor with big eyebrows.
Exactly. Yeah, Jennifer Connelly could have been
His
up there.
eyes have lit up.
Wow.
But it wasn't. It was Jennifer Connelly through the Labyrinth, and she didn't really.
That's kind of creepily young, Dave.
But I was young too.
Yeah.
I'm not
Oh,
like.
that's
I'm not
true.
like.
All right. Yeah. All right.
He was in the peer group.
She's older than me.
Yep,
I'm not like now watching the Labyrinth.
Okay, yeah.
I think when I watched the Labyrinth, I was younger than her, so I was like, "Wow, who's that older girl there?"
This is
who's
getting
that
weird.
cougar?
What did your sister buy?
So she bought me this Metallica, a double disc live Metallica album. I was like, "Great!" I said, "Dang, this was only 3 or 4 months ago." And I put the first disc in my car and I was listening to it. Yeah, all the songs I like were on there. And then I looked at the second disc and I was like, "Oh wow, there's one of the songs recorded from the first ever concert I went to at Melbourne Tennis Centre." So I went to get the disc out, went to put it in. It was a piece of cardboard. You had to buy the second disc separately.
Well, this is a really
And it was
interesting
like-
part of Metallica.
It was like, "F you, Metallica. That's just, are you taking the piss? What's with this?" Like, there was a space for the disc, but it was just, you pull the disc out. And
That's just rude.
I was really excited to listen to it. So I said to my sister, I said, "You wouldn't believe it. Don't worry, and she's so nice. So she went out and bought the other disc, and I was like, "Oh,
Wow.
wish you hadn't have done that because they don't deserve that."
No.
Should have just downloaded it. It's much harder these days to track it than back in the Napster days, which I'm
Yeah.
sure we'll return to in a moment.
Well, yeah.
This is the point in the show where I always feel a little weird afterwards because we never really explain who the choice
I feel like
is.
everybody knows who
Everyone
Metallica
should,
is.
surely.
Metallica.
Probably biggest heavy metal band in the world.
The first time I heard of them would have been middle of the 80s, and my friend's older brother said, "Oh, I like Metallica, Dave?" And I went, "Yeah." And I'd never even heard of them. But it sort of sowed this seed in my head that who's this Metallica that this cool older brother just talked about. And then I think must have been about And Justice for All. I heard a song called Harvester of Sorrow, which might have been about 89. I think it was about that time. So I heard this song, I thought, "Oh, that's I really like that song." It was like nothing I'd heard.
My life's a full place, planting seeds of hate, and love turned to hate, trapped far beyond my fate.
And then the Black Album came out after this was the one that had Enter Sandman.
Yeah,
I think it was
that's
Mad
It's a
Love.
really interesting, a weird one because it's called Metallica, but also called the Black
The
Album.
Black Album, I think, yeah.
It's
People,
like they're ashamed of the lack of imagination that 5 albums in, they decided just to call an album after themselves.
Metallica, yeah.
Although it's
Metallica,
possibly
Metallica.
interesting because it's a famous sort of album in the course of their career. It was like the album that broke them big mainstream, but also like there seems from my listening to be kind of 2 eras of Metallica. Of those albums, the first 4 albums up to Injustice for All are kind of seem to be regarded as much more straight, pure thrash metal. And then from then on, they started kind of experimenting with more styles and tempos and kind of, as a result, got more mainstream following. Is there... Which Metallica do you prefer?
I dropped off at, I think, even Fuel, I think it was it Load?
Right.
Load, which had the song Fuel.
Which I think is the
bought-
album after the Black Album.
After the
isn't it?
Black Album.
So
yeah,
it's very...
I was turned up, to the record store as soon as it came out to listen to it. And I listened to it, and I don't know if maybe Nirvana had come along by this. Well, Nirvana had already come along a long time ago, but maybe another band had replaced them, or maybe I just didn't like the music.
Yeah.
Because I really like Kill 'Em All, and I learnt guitar because of Metallica. So I learnt almost every song off the Kill 'Em All album, thinking it'd be cool, a way to impress people at parties, but everyone was playing, Bush or something with lyrics. And then
Maybe
when you
you
go,
just did the wrong
give us
parties.
a little crack of that guitar, and then you just play sort of,
I remember in the 80s it was cool if someone could play a Metallica riff.
Yeah, well, that's why
You remember you would have been 9. What parties were
Yeah.
you going to? That
Yeah,
people
in
played
the 90s.
In 1999.
in the
90s.
But I think Kill 'Em All. And I really like the Black Album. And then after that, I don't think I bought Load. Maybe I bought Reload, hoping things would change. I do have Sin Anger somewhere, but I don't think I've listened to it.
Do you have memories of like Metallica soundtracking your life, like maybe crying over a broken heart to Nothing Else Matters?
No, I think it was the Broken Heart was probably the Reality Bites soundtrack.
Wow.
I didn't listen to it, but I think it was one
Just
of those
staring
like
at the cover.
I think the first girlfriend. I think we might have listened to a couple of Reality Bites. I've seen Reality Bites, so every time I hear that, I break down in tears.
Wow.
Why do we even have to talk about?
Metallica's not really a band to help
no.
us feel broken heart, are they?
No, but Metallica was for learning guitar. It was a really great way to learn guitar, and I would just spend hours and hours in my room just trying to.
You'd kill it on Rock Band these days, wouldn't you? Although Rock Band's probably now out of...
It's not a thing. Is it a thing on PlayStation? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
It would have definitely been a
play-
thing. It was like the hardest song,
was
one
it?
of those ones on the first Rock Band.
But it's not. You're not actually playing the notes, are you?
No, you're
It's,
pressing
Pressing
buttons.
buttons.
Yeah, but hang on. That's a lot of buttons you're pressing really quickly at a certain
Yeah.
point. During those
I
solos
think
where
I'd ra-
like your hand and your head are going to explode. It's just a matter of which one will go first.
I'd rather try and play it on
So,
the guitar.
How many live concerts have you seen of?
And Metallica, I probably would have seen them 4 or 5 times, I suppose. Yeah, the first one was the Wherever I May Roam tour, which was when they came out for the Black Album, and they had the Snake Pit.
So how old are you then?
It was 93, so I was born in 78.
15?
So I was 15, yeah. So it was the first huge concert, and there was explosions, and so they're walking up and down the stage. So they're not, they had me. And I listened to all their albums at that point, but after that concert, I think I went out and made sure I bought every album they had, even the gold editions of their album when they bring out the special editions, bought all their books, their autobiographies, any T-shirt I could get. So I just had a different Metallica T-shirt for every day of almost the month, I suppose. I tried to look for them last night. I don't know where they all are. They might be tucked away somewhere safely. So that was after that concert, and that's why I think I became so obsessed with them, because it's a huge...
It is like that live
first
experience
concert,
can
yeah.
absolutely trigger an obsession.
What was your first live concert, Mary?
My first live concert was AC/DC.
Really? Mm-hmm. Mine was In Excess in the X Tour at Melbourne Tennis Centre. Yeah.
Did you become obsessed with them after that, or did you?
I always
go by
quite liked. I liked those next few albums. I know it's not as cool as AC/DC.
We have a link because Dave was in the In Excess telemovie biopic.
Oh yeah,
with no pants, of
with
course.
no pants on
Yeah.
and a mesh shirt.
A lot of
Mesh
times.
tank?
Mesh
Would we
tank
call
top,
that?
and no pants.
I remember my grandmother after a 60 Minutes story on Michael Hutchence.
I thought you were going to say your grandmother mentioning how she really enjoyed Dave's cameo.
No, she'd passed away by then. I don't want to bring the tone
Sorry,
down. She was long gone by then. But after the 60 Minutes story on Michael Hutchence back while he was still alive, going, what a nice man he seemed like. And I was like, I don't think you really know what his life's really
He just has a nice face.
It was because there was this clip of him going to sit on the front of the stage and asking them to turn the lights down and a spot up on him to talk to the audience.
Have a little chat.
Just a one-on-one.
Who was your character in that?
His name was based on a real person called Gary Grant, who was their tour manager,
Right.
Who never had a moustache.
I think IMDb calls him Cary Grant.
Yeah.
It does call him Cary Grant. It was Gary Grant, but he never had a moustache because I think often the Pharisees
The Pharisees
were there.
I think there's something different, but we'll go with that.
The Pharisees were there. They'd turn up onto the set and they said, look, he never had a moustache, but he was one of those people who was always with them when they toured overseas, and I think he came back and became a manager. But that's a lot. I didn't do any research.
They were
Hang
happy
on,
to-
were
they
you,
were happy
were you
to roll with
unwilling
that,
to get
though.
rid of the moustache?
No, I turned up.
Sorry, guys, the
I think
moustache stays.
I had the moustache and the mullet because I'd just done a small part in. There was a movie called The Mule, which was so. I turned up and they went, "You don't look anything like him, but can we just keep this anyway? Keep this look." So
I liked
So
it.
because I've got to keep mullet and moustache for another month, I think. Yeah.
So back to Metallica.
Yeah.
Now, I'll make a confession. Heavy metal's not really my thing. So I'm coming from a slightly ignorant place. But to my ears, a lot of heavy metal sounds the same. So what, to you, set Metallica apart from other heavy metal bands?
Well, it's funny because I didn't listen to a whole lot of other metal. I did listen to Pantera. I did enjoy Pantera, which sounded very
lot
different
like-
to Metallica.
oh,
I thought
okay.
they sounded very different because they had that real drop D tuning with the Metallica did use a bit of drop D.
Listen to him with the drop
But it was, there's the doc, 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 doc.
Yeah.
But then Megadeth, I didn't listen to too much Megadeth, which you mentioned. I think Dave Mustaine, who was the
Got
first
kicked out.
guitarist for Metallica, he started Megadeth, which is an equally big band. It's not as big, but they were big. So I didn't listen to a whole lot of other metal. For me, it was just Metallica. Like, everything was Metallica. There was almost no other band. For me, it was just, I just needed to know everything about them and learn every song.
Yeah.
Right, so
They
there's
played.
not much other heavy metal in your CD.
No, not a whole
collection.
lot. Like there was Hendrix and Led Zeppelin were the other two bands I probably listened to a lot of.
So what's the appeal of Metallica for you? Because what I want, here's my theory, my ignorant theory, is that like I wonder whether how much it's the music or how much it's something broader about like emotional attitude. And I think like you say that like fast guitar, and you think of people like head bashing and stuff like that, and
Headbanging. honey.
headbanging. And is head bashing not a thing? Head bashing should be.
Going to the
On
rock and
King
roll
Street at
concert,
2
a bit
a.m.
of,
on a Saturday, sure.
You know,
head bashing there,
those
Lucas.
kids with the head bashing,
and the
you know, they smoke the marijuana before they go.
injecting the mull into the.
But like, it seems like there is an element of like driving yourself into this different state. Like, it almost seems like a primal. You think
Yeah.
of tribal dances and stuff like that.
Angsty teenage stuff.
And I wonder how much it is actually about that. Not so much about the actual music. I'm not meaning to demean the musicianship for people into it, but how much it is about just going out of your head for some reason, which might also be the reason why. Another thing I fucking hate about Metallica, like the songs are so ridiculously long.
Yeah.
But like maybe it's done that to drive you to like a point of exhaustion.
Possibly, and I think it would have appealed to me being a 13-year-old boy who's starting to get a bit angry and feel things like, hang on, I feel angry today, and maybe
you
it's
want
a
to
way get it
rebel
out.
against
Well,
like
it's interesting
your
because
parents and stuff
you come
and-
across as a pretty laid back, quiet guy, which is not what you think about when you think of the head banging, I believe it's called.
Yeah.
It seems quite different.
I think I've changed probably. Hopefully,
You were more
to who I was.
You were
who
more
I
of a
was,
terror.
yeah.
Were you, as
Were you a
teenager?
rebel?
No, I wasn't a rebel. No, I think it was just like most teenage boys. Probably, just not sure what's going on with you.
You wanted to
You're
smash the
changing,
system,
and
right?
you smash
Yeah.
the system. But I did like the guitar, and I really like because I used to buy Guitar World magazines, and for me, Kirk Hammett was. I just really liked how he played the guitar and wanted to be able to play like him. And unfortunately, some people just can pick up a guitar and play.
Yeah.
I just had to work to try and learn like.
It's like that story they talk about Jimi Hendrix that the reason people could tell something was wrong at the end was like the night before he died or something. He showed up at a party, and he would go to parties with his guitar slung on his back. Like you would never see him without his guitar. And then apparently, like the night before he died, he rocked up at this party without his guitar.
Yeah.
And it was the people who knew him were sort of like, that's very weird. And
Yeah, right. Well,
The Metallica guitar lines are really complex, so it was probably it probably made you a good guitar player trying to.
Yeah, I think so. I remember because I'd been playing I just non-stop, and cause they didn't teach guitar at school, so I had to I went to some lessons and then just started to teach myself because you could buy these books with the tablature because I couldn't read music, but Guitar Tab just tells you which string to play.
Yeah.
So I just have to spend hours and hours just working out where to put your fingers.
What was the intention here? Did you want to be a rock god?
were you ever in a
I would
band?
have loved to. Yeah, a couple of bands. I would have loved to.
What were your bands called?
Red Baboon was the first one, and then there was Wench, and then Wench
I
2.
like Wench.
And
Are you saying you weren't a Led Zeppelin fan? You must be into Led Zeppelin.
I did. I really liked Led Zeppelin, and I would have loved to have been continue. And we did play at a couple of parties because
What distinguished Wench and Wench 2?
was the drummer. I think we got a different
It's
drummer.
always
And that was
the
it. You changed it for that. That is a very Metallica thing. Like Metallica are an unusual band in that they have a drummer as like one of the big
famous
creative
guy,
centers.
yeah.
Lars Ulrich.
I reckon he's the driving force behind the whole.
He's kind of like the Phil Collins of heavy metal.
Yeah, well, I'm not sure if you call him the brains, but I think he is the brains of the band that, he's behind probably molding Metallica into this image. And I think as I got older, I realised that's what it was. Like when 13, you don't know what marketing is. You don't realise that you might be slightly being manipulated.
To buy a piece of cardboard.
Yeah, to buy another piece of cardboard. But I think they did start. They can play guitar, and I don't know how good Lars is as a drummer. I've heard from other drummers that he's probably not the best drummer going around, but I think Kirk Hammett could really play guitar.
Well, he's obviously doing something right, regardless of what his actual quality of his drumming might be. He's obviously got good musical instincts that he co-created one of the most successful bands in history.
But do you know what? I asked you about the live gigs thing because Metallica did Glastonbury last year and did some massive epic set but that was basically their best of. And a lot of the comments on the reviews and stuff were like, well, that they weren't great, but everybody was kind of like, well, they're middle-aged white guys with kids now, so, you know, how great can they be? Would you go see them live if they came to Melbourne?
Yeah, I probably would. The last time I went up...
Hang on, just to contextualise this, we're post piece of cardboard, and I reckon a Metallica ticket these days, what are we talking, 200?
Yeah.
You're going to pay 200?
That's true.
Okay, so that's what you have to pay.
What's your price
Unless
limit?
I know you are an
Actually,
industry
I think
bigwig,
they have
you might
been
get it
out,
for
and I think I didn't go. I did go to Sydney when they came maybe 5 years ago. Some friends just said, oh, do you want to go? We all used to love Metallica, and they're like, well, do you want to just go for a drive and we'll see them in Sydney rather than seeing them? So it was a bit of fun.
Yeah.
And it was I can't remember. It was Sananga might have been, and it was all right. It wasn't great, the concert. But I did go to one at the My Music Bowl, which might have been about 8 to 10 years ago. And that was really good. So I got there early and got, you can get the My Music Bowl, there's the seats at the front.
Seating, yep.
So I made sure I got those because I was still quite into them. And there they just played almost every song that I wanted to hear. They played it, and
it's amazing sound there too. So that's quite an experience.
Yeah,
for music.
I don't know how good they are live, but being a teenager, I thought they were just.
But it's also that thing of
everything.
like bands that were big in the 80s and 90s now coming back and touring because they've run out of money. I think it's like, well, we've run out of money. What can we do? We'll just.
But
do
it's
some
different
shows.
for Metallica because they've never really stopped. They've had little years when you look at their discography where they didn't do anything together, or someone's off in rehab, or they're fighing each other.
But they still tour.
But they seem to have been putting out albums.
I did think I might have actually. I did bootleg some Metallica stuff. Back.
Well, it's on record now, so you can get sued.
Well, I think I did. It wasn't me. Here's what happened.
It's Rob.
No,
next door.
Metallica.
Rob, I was about to say,
Don't-
bloody Rob.
Someone I know.
He slipped in through the
Someone I
side
know.
gate.
Before Napster, before everything. So I went to the Metallica concert in 1993, and then I was looking through the trading post, and there was someone had a copy of the concert that I went to, a recording of it, and I thought I've got to get this. So I got Mum to drive me out to this house. It might have been in Keysborough or something, but it was like someone had shot on their camcorder. So the sound was terrible, but it was definitely the concert. I was expecting multicam thing when I turned up to the house. The guy said, "Here it is. What do you think?"
Is this on VHS?
Yeah. So I was slightly disappointed that maybe it wasn't what I thought in my head this concert was going to be. But then I took it home, and my mate Travis, he was the first drummer in Wench.
The one who was such a significant influence.
He didn't have a
when
drum
he
kit.
left, you
He
changed
didn't have
the
a
name
drum
of the
kit.
band.
He didn't have a drum kit.
What did he play? Bins?
Yeah, he played like we strung up some stuff across his lounge. He was the first drummer in Wench, and then he said, "I've got a VCR. You got a VCR. I know people who'll buy this at my school."
Oh wow!
He said, "Why don't we?"
You had a racket.
You're a dealer.
We copied the quality was that bad, and we'd done it so many times that I think we were rewinding it and it snapped off the reel of the original one. So then we had to copy off the copy, so the quality just kept getting worse and worse. And I think we sold probably 3 or 4 of them. And
How much?
For how much? What do you charge?
I thought we were going to be talking in the hundreds.
Charge for this?
I think $20 a pop.
Holy
Yeah.
shit!
That's what I paid.
That's big money
That's
for
what I
a
paid.
shonky.
If we've learned anything from Lars, he'll still come after you for that $80.
I know.
And did you, when you
At
purchased,
inflation, that's at least
Yeah,
120,
well,
150
he wants
these
to come.
days.
He wants to come up.
when you purchased the first one, was it out of the back of a car and with a quarter of weed?
No, there was no way. Either my mum had dropped me off, and what was I, 13 or 14, in this lounge room. And the guy's mum was there as well. I'm sort of trying to piece it all together in my head. But I remember being in the lounge room, him showing us the stuff, and going, "Yep, that's what I'm
is
after.
the real deal, buddy.
That's what I'm after."
This is
So
the
I
real
do have a copy because the original one broke off the reel. So I've got
You couldn't just sticky tape
I've got
it back
it's not a, what, you didn't burn copies then,
right,
did you? What did you do? You I could have sticky taped it,
Yeah.
but I was afraid to open up
No,
the
you did it tape to tape. You,
tape
like
to
you
tape.
said,
Yeah, you had to press play and record on the
record.
other.
Mind you, this would have also been that brief golden era in music where something obviously changed with like the importation legislation or something, and then you'd go to like High Point Shopping Centre and just set up in the aisles with these trestle tables
Yeah.
with like box after box of all these like
Dodgy,
bootleg
yeah.
concert CDs. They were great. You just
Unauthorized, I think they were
Yeah.
called. Yeah, I've
go like black with the big red across.
I have
them.
Nirvana
I've got
ones
a-
of those.
Yeah, I got
Yeah.
I think I had a Pearl Jam. I wonder where they because they were
Oh,
actually
so
not too
great.
bad.
Yeah, no, they were really good.
Because the CD my sister got me recently is probably worse quality than one of those unauthorized recordings that we used to get for what were they, $5 or something.
Yeah.
And the unauthorized one actually had the disc in it.
Yeah, it came with a disc.
Yeah.
You knew what you were getting. I think with Travis, we made a cover because mine didn't come with a cover, so we thought what we'll do is we'll make a cover.
Professional.
We'll
You
make
had
a cover.
price.
If
Did
we're
you draw a
selling-
picture on the cover?
No, it had the snake from the Black album on the corner.
Because well, you did tell us
It's black.
when we were
Black.
emailing that you had learned how to draw the logo. So
Yeah. Yeah, I remember drawing Metallica all the time on the
pencil
on the
case
pencil
in school?
case. Yeah, had it pretty good too.
in whiteout
I didn't use
just a
whiteout.
bit, right.
No,
Whiteout.
you use texture on your pencil case.
and whiteout. We use whiteout.
Yeah.
Anyway, maybe
Yeah,
that's,
yeah.
Tools of
I
the
did go to a
trade.
private school, so
Yeah,
you
it's
guys
true.
maybe you couldn't afford the whiteout.
Sniffed it all, drunk it.
It was
Anyway, so
eating
you covered-
flag
you did
and
a cover.
sniffing
You
white.
did
So
a
I made the
cover.
cover, but yeah, it was. So maybe I've made off Metallica. I've made Lost 20. We sold we sold 4. That's 80. Split it 2 ways. So I've probably made about $30
It's like
off.
he's got the coke on the scales here.
Trav got some, but I should have got a bigger cut because I bought the original. But Travis, we always used to argue over who's the biggest Metallica fan.
Travis, well, hang on.
You've now
We
also
need to-
incriminated
We really
Travis.
need to get into this Travis thing because he seemed to have a lot of sway in your life. He's getting,
He did.
He's getting a bigger cut of the Metallica bootleg than he should have got. You changed the
Yeah.
whole name of your fucking band when he left, and he was just the drummer.
There was, and we used to argue over who was the bigger Metallica fan. And one day I remember his sister Shelley came in and said, "Hang on, Trav, have you been to a concert?" And he went, "No." And he said, "Well, that makes Dave the bigger Metallica fan."
Nice.
And she was the one who said to us, "Hey, you got to hear this band Nirvana." We're like, Nirvana. I thought it was like Enya or something. The first time I heard Nirvana, I thought, because she had a few people over and they're all going, "We're going to listen to Nirvana." And she was maybe a couple of years older than us. We're going to listen to this band Nirvana. And I was like, pretty wild party, guys. Like, you know.
Let's light some
Yeah,
candles.
yeah. This is what they do when they're older. And they put it on. I was like, oh, hang on a second. That's not too bad, actually.
But that's like, I think that was a lot of people. We're almost the same age. You're older than me, but just to be clear. But because I was really into Bon Jovi and stuff before
same.
someone said, "Hey, there's this band Nirvana." This kid came from exchange from Canada, and he had some Nirvana tapes like Bleach. And they were like copied tapes of the Bleach album, and he brought them to school and was like, everybody, listen to this.
Yeah.
And we just lost our shit for it.
Oh, this is, right, during Bleach, because it was Nevermind that was the one I think.
And I
we-
never wanted to hear Bon Jovi again.
Yeah, I did like Bon Jovi a lot too. I had a couple of tapes.
So given you're in the middle of this bootlegging phase, were you following this when that Metallica and Lars Ulrich in particular were at the forefront of this movement to sue Napster,
Yeah.
which was the first sort of internet file sharing, pirating piece of software, if you're too young to remember Napster, and had it shut down. And they went from like this band who was supposed to be a smash the system to like the face of establishment, give me my money kind of
Did you
corporate
set
rock.
fire to your VHSs of...
No, I don't. Today was
Burn
the
the
first time
evidence.
I'd thought about that, about bootlegging those VHS tapes, really crappy VHS tapes of the concert. But yeah, I think I was maybe getting towards the end when this Napster stuff happened, so it didn't really bother me either way. Maybe I was a little bit disappointed in them. I thought they were better than that.
Wow.
I thought you guys were a lot better than that.
You know, speaking of being better than that, did you know that Kirk Hammett attributes his not losing his hair, his lustrous hair,
Does he?
to Rogaine?
Really?
Yeah, he promotes Rogaine.
It looked like it was going for
I
a while
feel like
there.
it's
Well, it's got this
absolutely
weird
going,
thing
going,
when you
gone.
see it in some kind of monster. It's got that thing that I think is part of maybe having long hair, where it's just you feel really uncomfortable looking at the bit
At
at
the
the top.
start,
It's
at
just
the-
a bit
'cause-
stringy.
and his forehead is enormous now because it's just pushed back so much.
Yeah.
So he's a big like promoter of
He says
Rogaine.
go for
yeah. Do you
Rogaine.
and do you feel like what's the the lowest thing that you would do for an ad? Like, what's the like? You know, the policeman from
Well, he
Country
advertised
Practice
Gary.
did.
Gary
Was it Viagra? He did. That was amazing. Late night ad.
You keep on saying,
with
I
the
have no
constable-
memory of this.
the
I feel like this is
constable
some
from
weird
a Country Practice.
dream fantasy.
did.
of
Oh,
yours.
another one. Yep. Yeah.
Yeah,
another one,
he
yeah.
did Viagra ads or something. What would you do Viagra ads?
Not suggesting
I'm not saying
anything,
I'm not saying I wouldn't.
Well, you can't do hair loss because, like, clearly
What a
you've got a
Well,
lustrous,
I've been
a lustrous head of hair.
You'll shave it off.
You know when people say you got to look at the mum side, like because I thought my whole family.
It's your mum's dad, they say you got to look at.
Well, I should have been fucked a long time ago. If that was
There you go.
Very bald.
both sides, aunties were bald, the whole thing. So everyone. So I've just been counting down the days, and I think it's one of those things as a guy when I got to about 23, 24, I thought, here it goes. This is it. I was lucky to get to here. Then I got to 30, and I was like, all right, sweet.
Doing well.
And I got to 37. I'm like, maybe I'll get to 40. Maybe I'll be right, but it doesn't matter. So now it's gone grey. So I got blonde.
You've got great, yeah. You've got salt and pepper
No,
in
it's
your
definitely
beard.
going grey.
You've
Sorry,
got a
it's
salt
going
and
grey.
pepper.
I can see your beard now. It's going grey. Embrace it. I fucking love my hair going grey.
Yeah, well, it's a new look.
I love your hair going grey too.
Oh,
Lucas.
shucks.
But yeah, Kirk Hammett, you could see it happening. I didn't see it. I didn't want to see it. I thought,
I'll say this about Kirk Hammett. Like when you watch that documentary, talking earlier about like it's surprising seeing a chilled out guy into heavy metal. He's a pretty chilled out guy.
Yes, really soft.
And so I'm sure he's taking whatever his hair situation is in his stride. He's very big about reducing the ego is part of his philosophy in life.
Well, I think
which is
too-
interesting when you see him stuck between these two massive egos.
Oh yeah, James and Lars. But too, if you're in a heavy metal, hair is your thing.
Yeah, you need long hair so you can
that's your thing,
throw it
you know.
around.
And
Did
then
you have long hair?
but
when
again,
you were a
James,
kid?
Yeah, I grew it as long when I was allowed to, because I went to a school where you weren't allowed to have long hair. So as soon as I could, I grew it, and then it was just too hard. It was hard work.
Did you let it like go greasy and stuff so you could headbang and?
No, I think I was getting
sweat does that. Just perspiration when you're in the in the zone.
But I did go to like concerts. I used to. Tumbleweed was another band that I used to go and follow because they were around all the time. Fur was another band in the Meanies. They used to always play around. So. And they all had long hair as well. It was that time. Oh, Pearl Jam. I did like Pearl Jam also, which I mentioned before.
All right, we need to start wrapping it up. But before we do, we finish by getting your pick. If somebody hasn't got into Metallica or hasn't tried it, what is your pick? Give me a favourite album and a favourite song that they should go check out.
Okay, if you're not into it, get the Black Album. If you're not into metal, get the Black Album because that's got a bit of everything for everyone. But if you were to get one album, possibly Master of Puppets. Listen to Master of Puppets or get Ride the Lightning. Or get Kill 'Em All.
Just doing their whole discography. Why not? I'm going to take the Black Album because that's okay.
Take Black
Give
Album.
me one song. Give me one song from all of it. What's your favourite Metallica song?
Oh, my favourite Metallica song.
One that you can listen to now and not cringe at.
There's a lot of them. One, maybe?
Tied to machines that make me be. Cut this life off from me. Hold my breath as I wish for dear. Oh, please, God, wake me.
One.
Yeah. Or Sanitarium. Oh, I wish I'd thought about this before. Get the Black Album.
Just get the Black
Get the
Album.
Black Album, listen to Nothing Else Matters, and then maybe go to Wherever I May Roam, then listen to Enter Sandman, and then Through the Never, maybe.
There we go.
Go on a journey.
Yeah.
That sounds like quite the
Metallica journey.
That's your
This
one.
has been
Download
lots
it.
of
Actually,
lots
don't
of
buy it.
download it illegally.
Download the shit out of it. Yeah.
This has been lots of fun, Dave. Now
Kickass.to.
you are. You're hard to find online. Where can people find you? They can find Dave's Shed Show, and we'll post links
I
to
used
Dave's
to be in the
Shed
White
Show.
Pages. I was in the White Pages till they
They stopped.
cut the
Yeah,
freaking
people don't want
copper
the White
cable.
Pages
You're an
anymore.
active seller on the trading posters too, as well. I remember.
Yeah, I used to sell on the trading post. I sold my first Sega Mega Drive on the trading post, and some
Good
people
price?
turned up
Did
to
you
our
get a good
house, and my
price for it?
parents weren't expecting, and they've gone, "What? We're here to buy the no, we're here to buy the Master System."
We're here to
And
take
then
the
I
Master
sort of
System.
Which sounds like you're falling in with some sort of neo-Nazi movement. Or something.
No, he's got the Master System, and they were happy about it. So I needed to upgrade to the Mega Drive. So I used to sell on the trading post.
But
White
you don't
Pages.
have social media, do you?
Yeah,
he's got a Twitter.
Yeah, if you go on
to
Twitter, I do check it, and I've had it for about 3 years, and I just don't upload to it often, whatever you
Right.
do, or
But people can
bash
see
heads
you
on it or whatever you
on the old television on
Well,
ABC on
every
Wednesday
week at the
nights.
moment on Utopia.
Yeah.
Utopia.
Or Dreamland
Utopia.
if you're overseas.
Yeah, it's there's I'm findable.
You're
You can
there.
Find me.
You're around. And people can find us on Facebook and Twitter at Devotee Podcast, or can email us at devoteepodcast@gmail.com.
So why not drop by and you can post your Metallica thoughts, pro or con. And we'll also be posting up maybe some of Dave's greatest hits there over the next week. So lots to check out till we meet back here next month when another of our favourite creators will drop by to nominate their favourite thing, and we'll do it all over again. Till then, bye.
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 Leave Benny alone!
And that's that.
It's not my favourite thing, by the way. Just I like it.
What's your favourite thing?
Don't know. I don't have a favourite thing.
But I want like a creative thing. That's a really sad statement in your life that you don't have a favourite
I love
thing.
at the end of the. It's not my favourite thing, by the way. Just
I just want the
Favourite
thing.
thing.
Record.
No,
just
no.
while we're still recording.
Creative.
I like painting. I paint a lot.